We were the perfect sibling pair in everyone's eyes until the police showed up and started investigating my sister. When I was younger, my sister used to hurt me, pinching, scratching, digging her nails into my arms until I bled. Once I used her hairbrush without asking. She pinched my arm so hard I went to basketball tryouts looking like I'd been attacked by a wild animal. Her excuse I'd gotten boy germs on her stuff. By the time I turned 14, I was getting tired of it. Things shifted one day after I forgot to lock the bathroom door. I was showering, and she barged in, started pinching my back until I screamed. But I was ready. I grabbed her wrist and squeezed back. It didn't feel like victory. It made me feel worse. I started crying, apologized for being a bad brother, and let her pinch me again harder this time. I loved my parents, but I know they saw the bruises. They must have heard me crying in my room. But they never did anything. In their eyes, she was the perfect daughter, social charming, keeping our family's image spotless. At school, she played the caring big sister role like a pro. She'd hold my hand in the hallways, introduce me to her friends like I was her favorite little brother. It made me sick. One good thing came from all of it: pain tolerance. I turned all that pain into fuel. By 16, I was varsity basketball captain. I could take hits most players couldn't. By then, she was a senior, a year ahead of me. The pinching had mostly stopped, probably because I'd gotten bigger. And deep down, I still wanted a real relationship with her. I thought maybe things could change. Her 18th birthday gave me that hope. None of her friends showed up. They'd all gone to Ashley's party instead. There was drama about a guy named Tyler, Ashley's cousin, who my sister had some falling out over. She cried all morning, said no one cared about her. I couldn't just watch that happen. I started messaging everyone I knew, basketball friends, kids from other schools, even a few college freshmen. I told them there'd be free drinks and good music. By 8 p.m., the house was full. At least 40 people came. The party was amazing. She pulled me aside, tears in her eyes again, happy this time, and told me I was the best brother in the world. We even did shots together. She told everyone how I saved her birthday. For once, I felt like we were siblings, but it didn't last. Tyler showed up around 11 drunk and loud with his new girlfriend. He started yelling that she was so desperate she got her loser brother to beg people to come. Said she paid people to pretend they liked her. The party cleared out in 20 minutes. She didn't talk to me for 2 days. Then, while our parents were out celebrating their anniversary, she knocked on my bedroom door. "Can we talk?" she asked, voice sweet. I opened the door. She shoved me against the wall. "You knew Tyler was Ashley's cousin. You invited him to humiliate me. You've always been jealous that I'm the favorite." She was holding a hair straightener, still hot. Before I could react, she swung it at my face. "You ruined my life." I ducked. I heard the sizzle, then her scream. She had burned herself, pressed the straightener to her own neck by accident. Blisters started forming instantly. She ran to the bathroom sobbing. I called 911, hands shaking. She needed skin grafts. The burn was 3rd degree. When our parents got to the hospital, I just said, "Check her phone." They did. They found years of texts, messages to her friends about making me cry, calling me her practice dummy, even photos of my bruises with laughing emojis. My dad went pale. My mom started crying. They separated us at the hospital. A nurse took me to a different room. I sat there for 3 hours, answering the same questions again and again. Around 2 a.m., the police showed up. 2 officers looking tired. They asked me to walk them through everything. I showed them my phone. I had screenshots saved since I was 12. Proof of every bruise, every message. The female officer's jaw tightened as she read. Her expression got darker with every scroll. My parents came to the station around 4. Mom's makeup was ruined. Dad looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. They wouldn't look me in the eye. A detective named Catherine was assigned to our case. She had kind eyes, but she asked tough questions. She wanted every detail, every bruise, every pinch, every time my parents saw and did nothing. I told her about tryouts, the shower, the assemblies where my sister smiled while digging her nails into my arm under the table. She wrote everything down in a small notebook. The next morning, Child Protective Services got involved. A social worker named Nicholas came to our house the next morning. He was young, maybe late 20s, and soft-spoken in a way that made you want to tell him things. He talked to each of us alone then, together. Our parents were ordered to attend counseling twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. They'd come home from those sessions red-eyed and quiet. My sister was in the hospital for 2 days. When she came back, her neck was wrapped in gauze. She couldn't turn her head without pain. The doctor said she'd need multiple surgeries. The scarring would be permanent. She moved into the guest room. Mom took time off work to help her with bandages. I could hear them through the walls sometimes, whispering, crying. Not the fake tears my sister used to get what she wanted. Real crying, broken raw. Nicholas kept visiting twice a week. He talked to all of us slowly, picking through the mess. My sister was quieter than I'd ever seen her. School was strange. Word got out, though the facts were fuzzy. Some kids thought I'd attacked her. Others heard she'd hurt herself. Ashley approached me once in the hallway, awkward and unsure. "Tyler feels bad," she said. He didn't mean to start all that. He was drunk. I nodded. What could I say that his drunken rant led to the worst night of my life, that my sister would carry those scars forever? Basketball became my escape. I needed it. Coach pulled me aside during the first practice after everything and asked if I needed time off. I said no, I needed to play. He let me stay late shooting free throws until the janitor kicked us out. 3 weeks after the incident, my sister started physical therapy. The burn had damaged nerves in her neck. She couldn't turn her head certain ways. I drove her to appointments since our parents were at work. We'd sit in silence during the 20-minute drive. One day she broke it. "I know you hate me," she said. I gripped the steering wheel. "I don't hate you. You should." Her voice was flat. "I've been horrible to you." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to list every awful thing she'd ever done. But watching her wince through stretches, watching her fail to do basic movements, it muted that part of me. 6 weeks after it happened, Catherine scheduled a family meeting. She brought a second social worker named Kathy. Older, serious, specialized in family trauma. They sat us all down in the living room. "We need to talk about long-term plans," Catherine said. "The investigation is ongoing, but the focus now is healing." My sister was court-ordered to attend anger management classes. Mondays. I'd see the workbook on the kitchen counter, sometimes pages of questions and exercises about emotional control and triggers. The investigation unearthed more than any of us expected. Catherine had interviewed my sister's friends. A few admitted they'd always felt uncomfortable about how she treated me. One girl, Kat, had saved screenshots, texts full of cruel jokes and mean photos. She'd thought about showing someone, but never did. My parents had to confront reality. They hadn't protected me. They'd let it happen. The social workers didn't sugarcoat it. During one counseling session, Dad broke down. He admitted he always knew something was wrong, but couldn't believe his daughter was capable of it. 3 months went by. My sister's bandages came off. The scars were brutal, angry red, and impossible to hide. She wore scarves and turtlenecks even when it was warm. Her friends stopped coming over. The girl who once ruled the school with confidence now walked the halls like a ghost. People whispered, avoided her. We ate dinner together every night now. Court-ordered supervised family meals. Sometimes Nicholas or Kathy joined us, watching quietly, taking notes. The conversations were awkward. We stuck to safe topics: weather, sports, TV. One night, my sister dropped her fork. It clattered, and everyone flinched. She bent down, then froze, hand going to her neck. The scar tissue didn't move like normal skin. I stood up to help her. She waved me off. "I've got it," she said, her voice strained. She managed to grab the fork, but stood up with tears running down her face. Mom reached for her, but she pulled away. Just don't. She left the table without eating. Her bedroom door slammed shut. Nicholas quietly made a note in his folder. The next morning, I found her in the kitchen at 5 a.m., trying to make coffee. But she couldn't tilt her head back enough to see if she'd poured the water right. It was spilling everywhere. "Let me help," I said. She stepped aside without a word. That's when I saw them bruises on her arms. New ones. Purple and yellow, shaped like fingers. "What happened to your arms?" She pulled down her sleeves. "Nothing. I bruise easily now. Medication, but I recognized those bruises. I'd had enough of them to know what they looked like. At school that day, I saw her ex-best friend Mia cornering her near the lockers. She was yelling finger in my sister's face. My sister didn't argue, just stood there frozen. I walked up. "Everything okay?" Mia turned to me. "Oh, look, the victim's here to save his psycho sister. How sweet." "We're leaving," I said. I guided my sister out. In the car, she finally broke. "They all hate me. Every single person at school thinks I'm a monster. Mia grabbed me yesterday. Said I deserved worse than scars. Said she wished the straightener hit my face instead." I didn't know how to respond. Part of me understood their anger. She'd hurt a lot of people. But seeing her like this, scared, small, twisted my chest. Catherine scheduled an emergency session after getting a report from the school. My sister sat hunched in her chair, smaller than I'd ever seen her. "We need to explore other schooling options," Catherine said. "This environment isn't safe for her recovery." Mom spoke first. "We can't afford private school. There are online programs," Catherine said. "Or we could look at transferring to Westfield." My sister shook her head. "I have 3 months left. I can handle it." But she couldn't. A week later, someone spray-painted "abuser" across her locker. Even after the janitor scrubbed it, the outline still lingered. She started eating lunch in the nurse's office. I walked her to class when I could. Sat with her at lunch when the nurse wasn't around. My basketball teammates didn't get it. "Why are you protecting her?" Jake asked during practice. "After everything she did to you." I missed my free throw. "She's still my sister." "She's getting what she deserves," another teammate muttered. Coach overheard. He made us all run suicides. "We don't kick people when they're down," he said. "That's not what this team is about." But the damage was spreading. Our parents started fighting more. I'd hear them yelling in their room late at night. Blaming each other, blaming themselves. One night, something crashed. The next morning, Dad was sleeping on the couch. He stayed there after that. Nicholas increased his visits to 3 times a week. The court was considering extending our supervision period. My parents had to submit weekly updates on our progress. My sister's physical therapy wasn't going well either. The therapist said she was developing bad movement habits. She needed to practice more at home, but she'd given up. So I started going to her room after dinner, making her do the exercises. She resisted, but eventually gave in. We'd sit on her floor, me counting reps, her working through the pain. "Remember when we used to play board games?" she asked one night. Before I got mean, I remembered. Back when we were close, before middle school, before everything changed. "What happened?" I asked. "When did you start hating me?" She was quiet for a while. "I didn't hate you. I hated that you were better than me. Nicer, more genuine. People liked you for you. They only liked me because they were afraid not to." The truth sat heavy in the air. I helped her through the final stretch, watching her face twist with pain. 2 weeks before graduation, everything collapsed. My sister had been doing better, at least on the surface. She kept her head down, stayed quiet, focused on making it to the end of the school year. But then, someone posted the screenshots. Everything. Every cruel message she'd ever sent about me. The photos of my bruises, the jokes, the texts where she called me her punching bag. All of it. Dumped online, shared across school group chats, parents' Facebook pages, even teacher inboxes. It spread fast. By noon, parents were calling the school demanding she be expelled. The principal had to hold an emergency assembly about cyberbullying. It didn't matter. The damage was done. She didn't come home that night. Our parents called the police just after midnight. I couldn't sleep. So I got in the car and drove checking every place she might have gone. The park where we used to play, the beach we had family picnics, the overlook on the edge of town. I found her car near the old railroad bridge parked crooked on the gravel shoulder. She was sitting on the hood legs, dangling over the side. The drop wasn't fatal, but it would hurt. We both knew about hurting. "Don't," I said, approaching slowly. "I wasn't going to jump," she replied quietly. "I just needed to think." I sat next to her. We didn't talk. We just sat in silence, letting the wind and the night fill the space between us. "I'm sorry," she said finally, "for everything. I know it doesn't fix it. But I need you to know that." "I know," I said, and I meant it. The apology didn't erase the scars, hers or mine, but it was something. Maybe the start of something better. We drove home separately. Our parents were waiting along with 2 police officers. Missing person protocols, more reports, more paperwork. Catherine got involved again. She arranged for my sister to finish school from home. The principal agreed. She'd get her diploma, but she wouldn't walk at graduation. Another consequence of that night with the straightener. The house felt different with her home all day. Quieter. Even with her there, it felt like something had gone still. She spent most of her time in her room working on assignments and logging into her virtual anger management sessions. I'd check on her between classes or after practice. Sometimes she'd be doing her physical therapy without being asked. Other times, I'd find her sitting in front of the mirror, touching the scars on her neck with the lightest pressure, like she still didn't believe they were real. Our parents weren't doing well either. Their marriage was barely holding together. They started going to couples therapy on top of everything else. Some nights Dad still slept on the couch. We stopped eating real meals. The fridge was full of takeout containers and frozen dinners. One afternoon, Nicholas pulled me aside. "How are you handling all this?" "I'm fine," I said without thinking. "It's okay if you're not," he said. "You've been through a lot. You're allowed to feel things." But I didn't know how to explain the knot in my stomach. The guilt, the constant question in my head. If I hadn't ducked that night, would things be different? My sister wouldn't be scarred. She'd be walking at graduation. Maybe our parents wouldn't be fighting all the time. Maybe we'd still be a normal family. I knew logically it wasn't my fault. She swung the straightener. I moved out of the way. It was instinct. But knowing that didn't make it easier. Basketball season ended with us making it to regionals. I played the worst game of my life. Couldn't focus. I kept thinking about my sister alone at home while the rest of the world moved on. We lost by 12. In the locker room after the game, Coach found me sitting alone. "You've got a lot on your shoulders," he said. "But you can't carry everyone else's weight. Sometimes people have to face the consequences of their own choices." He was right. But it didn't make watching her unravel any easier. The same sister who'd made me bleed was now the person I checked on constantly. Worried about. Protected. The irony wasn't lost on me. Graduation day came with a heat wave. I put on my cap and gown, tried to feel excited. My parents came but sat on opposite sides of the auditorium. My sister stayed home. As I walked across the stage, I thought about her sitting in her room, watching classmates post their celebrations on Instagram. I thought about what we'd lost, what we might still be able to fix. I went to Jake's party afterward, tried to celebrate. But when someone made a joke about crazy sisters, I left. Still wearing my cap and gown, I drove home. I found her in the backyard trying to plant flowers in the neglected garden. Her physical therapist had suggested gardening to help with neck mobility. She looked up surprised. "Shouldn't you be out celebrating?" "Felt like gardening," I said, grabbing a trowel. We worked in silence, planting marigolds and petunias under the heavy sun. Her scars caught the light, glistening with sweat. By the time we finished, we were both filthy and tired. "Thanks," she said. That night, for the first time in months, our whole family ate dinner together. No social workers, no checklists. Just the four of us. Dad had come home early. Mom cooked something other than frozen pizza. We sat in our usual spots. The chair where Nicholas usually sat felt strange now, empty but loud. I got into state, I announced. Basketball scholarship. Full ride. I'd been holding the news in for weeks. My parents smiled real smiles. The first in a long time. My sister even looked happy, though something flickered behind her eyes. That's amazing, she said. You deserve it. Later, she knocked on my door. Can I ask you something? She sat on my bed, fidgeting with a loose thread on the blanket. Do you think we'll ever be normal again, our family? I wanted to lie, to give her hope, but we were past that. I don't know, I said honestly. But maybe we can be something different. Maybe better. She nodded. We'd never have the relationship we could have had. Too much had happened. But maybe we could build something new. Not what it used to be. Not perfect. But something real. Catherine came by one last time the following week. The official supervision period was ending. We had completed all court requirements. The investigation was closed, no charges, just mandatory therapy and monitoring. You've all made progress, she said, standing in our living room with that calm but firm voice. But the real work starts now. And just like that, she was gone. The house felt different. Not better, not worse, just quieter. A fragile kind of calm. My sister spent most of her time in her room. She had finished her online classes and anger management sessions. The garden outside had started to bloom bright colors, pushing up through the soil we planted together. It was strange, beautiful in its own way. Like something trying to grow where something else had broken. Sometimes I'd find her doing her neck stretches on her own. Other times, she'd just stare at her reflection in the mirror. I think she was trying to get used to her new face, her new life. Our parents were still a mess. They'd started couples counseling, but some nights, Dad still slept on the couch. Mom stopped trying to make big family dinners. We survived mostly on leftovers, microwaved meals, and whatever snacks we could find. One night, after a particularly quiet dinner, my sister stopped me in the hallway. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't ducked? She asked. Yeah, I said. A lot. Me too. Neither of us said anything after that. It's hard to explain what that kind of guilt feels like. I didn't hurt her. I didn't cause what happened. But I was still the reason it happened, at least in her eyes. And sometimes in mine. But time kept moving. She finished physical therapy. The movement in her neck wasn't perfect, but it was better. Enough to drive again, to look side to side without wincing. The scars were still there, angry and red, but they had started to fade just a little. Less raw, less loud. We never talked much about the post that went viral, about how it felt for her entire school to know what she'd done, what I'd lived through. There didn't seem to be a point. Some wounds just sit between people. You don't poke at them unless you want to bleed all over again. Instead, we kept it simple. She asked about my basketball practices. I'd ask if she needed help with her physical therapy or online classes. We started watching a show together, one episode a night. Nothing heavy. Just something to share. The summer passed like that. One evening, we were sitting on the back porch. She was trimming dead leaves off a potted plant. I was flipping a basketball between my hands. You know, she said, not looking up, I still don't know if I deserve to be okay. I didn't respond right away. Maybe it's not about deserving, I said. Maybe it's just about what you do with the chance you have. She nodded, quiet, thoughtful. She didn't say anything else. Fall came and I left for college. State, full ride. My parents helped me move into the dorm, both trying to act like things were normal again. They weren't. But they were trying. My sister stayed home, started working at a local flower shop. Said it helped her feel grounded. Said she liked seeing things grow. She sent me a photo one day, her in front of a tray of sunflowers, hair tied back, scarf covering her neck. She smiled, but it wasn't the kind of smile she used to wear. This one wasn't about being seen. It was just real. We don't talk every day. Sometimes not even every week. But when we do, it's honest. No pretending. Sometimes she says things like, "I wish I could take it all back." And I say, "I know," and we leave it at that. There's no perfect ending here. No dramatic reconciliation or happily ever after. Just two people, one who caused pain, one who carried it, trying to figure out what comes next. Trying to rebuild something that maybe can't be whole again, but can still be good. We're not the family we used to be. We're not even close, but we're still here. And for now, that's enough. Thank you for listening to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Also, leave a comment below to share your thoughts on what happened. Take care.